I mean, I just wish that more Americans had passports. The extent to which you can see how other people live seems useful at worst and incredibly pleasurable and interesting at best.
I really love the way Anthony Bourdain used his platform to center regular working class people and sort of told stories about social issues through food. I think when you first watch Anthony Bourdain, it's like, oh, this is like a travel and a food show, but it's like it's not. It's like it's actual journalism.
Hey folks, welcome back to Film Nuts, a show about why we love what we watch. Resident travel lover and wannabe foodie Taylor here, and I am so stoked to be back for a new and very special season full of 100% in-person conversations with fun and unique film and TV lovers. So let's just get right into it. What is a TV show actually capable of? Can it do more than just entertain? What if it opened your mind to other parts of the world, other people, other food? Anthony Bourdain Parts Unknown was the final docuseries of the late author, chef, and host that was the show's namesake. Bourdain's mix of snarky wit, an experienced palate, and genuine desire for human connection gave audiences a real and honest look at places and people different from themselves. His belief that we should all try as many things as we can led him to have a profound impact on viewers, like my guest today. Justin Cook is a climate journalist and photographer whose work and philosophy were shaped by Bourdain's vision. Justin's photographic essays and narrative journalism projects tell stories about ordinary people who are being impacted by climate change and connect the issue to things that they are passionate about, including their homes, sacred places, and history itself. Today, we chat about Bourdain's unique approach to telling stories, common misconceptions about journalism, and why Waffle House is so amazing. So, pack your bags. Here's Justin Cook talking about Anthony Bourdain, Parts Unknown, right here on Film Nuts.
I think I'm fine, like within the confines of like my 1,200 square foot home in my community, but like I think if you're an intelligent, empathetic human right now, you probably aren't doing well, like in the larger scheme of things.
You know, for reasons.
Yeah, I mean, as a journalist too, like I have to stay on top of what's happening, and a lot's happening. Holy shit.
Yeah. How do you deal with covering, reporting, reading about, seeing things that just have a personal effect on you? How do journalists kind of cope with that, or do they?
I mean, I don't think a lot of them do it well. If you go to a lot of the national conferences, there's a lot of binge drinking.
Okay.
I have a therapist. I feel like I have a good community of people that I can talk to. I also find I tend to channel the feelings and particularly the anger and sadness back into the work that I do. And I'm also doing a specific type of journalism now that is actually way better for my mental health, called solutions journalism, that focuses on climate solutions. And it's this 4-pillar process that you have to go through. But it investigates what people are actually doing at a community level to deal with and adapt climate change. And I think if I was just reporting on disaster after disaster, I would have I don't know, I'd probably be committed at this point.
So it's more like finding ways that people are coming up with the solutions that as you mentioned, as opposed to just hey, this is bad.
Yeah, we know it's bad. So what are we doing? What's the plan? One of my favorite climate thinkers, Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson, says, "Fuck hope. What's the strategy?" And I think that's kind of where my brain is right now. Hope should be a byproduct of having action and taking action and having a strategy. That's to me where I have hope. Otherwise, it's oh my God, there's a bunch of carbon in the atmosphere. Was it the EPA just killed the endangerment findings that designates CO2 and greenhouse gases as a pollutant and undermines ability to regulate them.
At a loss for words for shit like that.
Yeah, everything's happening so fast.
I've been stalking your Instagram for a little while. I really want to know why the hell there are whale skeletons in the Tar River here in North Carolina.
millions of years ago, whales were freshwater, and they lived in the Tar River. I'm just kidding. That's not true. Millions.
You had me 50%.
You had me at the beginning, the first half. So millions of years ago, eastern North Carolina was an ocean, and basically because sea level was 70 feet higher, because global climate was 4 degrees Celsius warmer, and atmospheric carbon levels were literally the same as they are today, which is really scary because essentially our environment and our oceans have not caught up according to the science. There was an ocean that basically extended to where Interstate 95 is. So there were whales swimming around Rocky Mount. They were swimming around Princeville. They were swimming around Tarboro. They were swimming all over the place. So when the sea kind of went in and out, because you had these episodes of like glaciation, glaciers, ice age, mini ice ages, that sort of thing, all that stuff would get buried. So there'd be like whale skeletons, shark's teeth, anything that was in a shallow sea that died, got buried and fossilized. So you can find their bones. It's pretty cool.
That is cool. How did you, what made you go start digging in that river, in the first place?
I have an identical twin brother, and one day he messaged me and was like, hey, did you know you could buy megalodon teeth on eBay, and a lot of them come from North Carolina? And I was like, what? And so we figured out that there was this group of nerdy amateur fossil hunters that you could like join, and they would take you on digs around the eastern part of the state.
That's cool.
They have these really cool relationships with quarries, and they basically a couple times a year they'll have access to dig in these quarries that kind of cut down into these old sediment layers from where the ocean used to be. And I was like, wow, you can find this stuff in North Carolina. And then one thing led to another, and we started finding our own spots. And we fossil hunt as a way to
That's cool.
reconnect to the earth, really, our environment.
If you've been to France, chances are you haven't been here. France's second largest city, the oldest city in France. It sits right by the Mediterranean. The food is famously good, yet it's a victim of bad reputation, bad history. Marseille, as it turns out, exactly the kind of place I like.
I love Anthony Bourdain, rest in peace. I really love the way Anthony Bourdain used his platform to center regular working class people, and sort of told stories about social issues through food. Mm-hmm. I think when you first watch Anthony Bourdain, it's like, oh, this is a travel and a food show, but it's not. It's actual journalism, and it's really good. But he connected all this stuff to the most intimate parts of people's lives. The food, the stuff they care about, their sacred places, their identity, and really used it as a way to talk about really complicated subjects and show people in a complex and nuanced way, kind of beyond how they're portrayed in traditional legacy media. There's a number of episodes that really stand out. I actually rewatched the one about Jerusalem today.
I also
which is
did.
Really,
yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah, it's so good, and
Yeah.
also feels especially pertinent.
All of us bring stuff along when we travel. Your preconceptions, your personal belief system, the full weight of your life experience. It's going to come to bear on the way you experience a place. But whatever you may think and whatever baggage you may bring to this place, you should see this.
That was the episode that introduced me to Layla Haddad, and then I think it was Betty and Mona, the street racers in the West Bank.
Yeah.
When I think of the occupied West Bank, that's not the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
But I was that blew my mind. I was like, that's dope. That's really cool.
For me, with his approach to just any place that he went, any person that he talked to, these aren't the people you're gonna see on any other news journalism outlet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly right. And like I think one of the things I love most about his work is that he used his storytelling, like his privilege and his platform, to challenge power and the traditional stories that like gentrification, colonialism, imperialism, war, race, class, all those things. And he did it to me around like sitting in a grandma's kitchen in Gaza or the West Bank and telling a story through food and having like meals with people. That's like one of the most intimate things you can do, and that like really resonates with me. And like my approach to a lot of my climate journalism is the same way. It's to like spend a long period of time with people around their dinner tables, really getting to know them. And then, but instead of like thinking about climate change as this sort of like hyper object that's like too big to touch, like how do you make it really, really small and personal and connect it to the things that people are passionate about? And I think that I kind of learned that from watching that show.
How did you first get into journalism?
I was
I'm sorry, is that a tough question?
There's a couple of different stories. Well, first was my mom, my maternal grandfather and I were really close in high school, and we had a U.S. history project. We had to interview a World War II veteran, so I interviewed him, and through the interview process, like did tons of research about his unit and figured out like where he was and built this like relationship with him where he trusted me and told me about things he went through that he hadn't even told his own daughter. And that was when it clicked to me that like when you're the power of interviewing people, the power of like having like an intentional relationship with people and building trust and confidence like can allow you to like uncover things that people wouldn't necessarily tell everyone. But yeah, it just like it really the bug of like storytelling really bit me.
Anthony Bourdain has like been around cultural consciousness for a very long time, both on TV and in print. Like when were you first introduced to either him or like one of the shows or maybe a book he wrote?
Man, I'm trying to think of the first time I ever watched. Well, I remember the first episode I ever watched.
Oh, which one was it?
He went to Charleston.
Okay.
With Sean Brock.
Okay.
Yeah, you know where I'm going.
I have an inkling.
Yeah. And I love that episode because they go to Waffle House.
Right, gentlemen.
Oh, the pecan waffle. You just crush it. You put you
Just slather it.
I want it to be swimming in syrup and homogenized vegetable oil.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
See, you don't come here expecting the French Laundry. You come here expecting something amazing.
This is better than the French Laundry, man.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, like this guy is like really open to like any experience. and the way he embraced it, like everything about that episode, like especially that section, yeah, it made me proud to be a Southerner because I've been a Waffle House fan for a long time.
Same.
And yeah, and like, but some people just like really look down on it. I'm like, dude, it's like one of the best third spaces we have. They've taken everything from us, but they haven't taken Waffle House. You can see a fight while you're there. I've seen marriage proposals in Waffle House.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it was awesome. That was on the one on Electric Road in Roanoke, Virginia. I remember it like it was yesterday. I hope they're still together. That'd be great. He made me proud to like be a Southerner when I watched that show, and like. He could have had like he had like a critical look at the South too. It wasn't like just this rosy episode about like how good the food is.
Right.
But like he did what he did with every other culture. He like celebrated the food. He celebrated hash browns, smothered, covered, chunked. He celebrated a pecan waffle covered in vegetable product. Like I want to say butter.
Drowned in syrup.
Drowned in syrup. Like he celebrated that. And I'm like, hell yeah, brother. Like, that's right. It's so good. Like, and I just have so many memories attached to that from college and like, you know, late nights at the newspaper, us going to Waffle House and stuff like that. And yeah, it just felt special. My favorite thing about that episode is if you look in the window, you can see like the flicker of like blue police lights in the parking lot, which I think is really like the sprinkle on.
It's true. It makes it feel as real as it actually is.
It's very authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Why do you love Waffle House?
Oh my God. It's like, my brother and I always go there after we fossil hunt. Because if you've been digging up whales for 6 hours
Work
straight.
up an appetite.
Yeah, you're like calorie deficit. It just doesn't matter what you eat at that point. Yeah. So, what's your go-to dish at Waffle House?
Hash browns, smothered and covered.
Hell yeah.
2 eggs over easy, side of bacon.
Hell yeah. I do the Texas cheesesteak melt plate, and I get them to put scrambled eggs on the cheesesteak. I know. It's so good.
I think that's a new move.
It's really good. It's really good.
I might have to go there tonight.
Yeah, a pecan waffle is like the only way to do the waffle. Too.
See, I haven't had the pecan waffle, and now I need to.
Oh my God.
And now I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the next episode we go to Waffle House.
Okay. Let's do a whole sequel. I will go with you to Fossil Hunt, and then we will go to Waffle House.
Yeah, that sounds great. Let's do it.
Javi, you want to come for that?
I'm down.
All right. Amy, you there?
He's like inviting everyone.
Whenever I see an Anthony Bourdain clip, or someone also talks about how much they loved his work or anything like that, like I'm brought back to that joy, but I'm also brought back to the sadness that happened when he left us. How did that affect you? Like in a like, it seems like a duh question.
I was
but what
devastated.
happened?
I was
with you?
devastated.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only other death, like sort of pop culture death like that really affected me so deeply was when Kurt Cobain killed himself. Like I remember that like it was yesterday, but I remember when Anthony Bourdain died. I was really, really sad. Regular people in countries that we have done, our country has done a lot to colonize, pillage, destroy, plunder. They lost a platform. And I think that's what was so sad about it. I feel like he was so sincere and like self-deprecating and took his job so seriously and like, but also clearly had a lot of fun while he was doing it. Like I just felt like he just had this like everyman sort of like fight for the underdog type of quality to him, and he had a point of view too. Like he was. I don't think that Bourdain necessarily believed that objectivity was like the goal of his work. I think that he wanted. I think his goal, I think, was advancing understanding, showing complexity, and taking us someplace we hadn't someplace we hadn't been before, and seeing something we haven't seen before, and dispelling a lot of stereotypes and making people more complex and more three-dimensional. And I don't know of other television journalists who do that really well at all to this day.
Yeah, I recently watched. Cannot remember the name of it, but it was a documentary about like what happened with Vice media, and in that it was like kind of showed that the higher ups at Vice wanted like the salacious, wanted the scandalous stuff to try to get, even with like this like underdog underground attitude. But it's like an episode of Viceland was shot in this one country, and then a week later, an episode of Parts Unknown on that same country comes out, and they are just completely different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to show the fact that like, hey, like, can we get, like you said, there's no objectivity wasn't the goal, but if you at least lean in with like, it could be wildly different perspectives as opposed to like, this is the single definition of what this place or this country is.
Right. It's the danger of a single story.
Yeah.
I think Bourdain always surprised me. Like the episode where he goes to Houston and hangs out with Slim Thug. That episode is so good. And like when I didn't know anything about Houston before I watched that, even after having lived and interned in Texas. Like, but you know, that episode had its sort of its pitfalls, but it really like is a product of like the time period when it came out was like I think it was like right before or like right after Trump got elected the first term. He was trying to show us that like what we all really know is true, that immigrants are what make this country great.
A typical Texas school, just like the rest of them. Nope. Not even close.
Good morning. Good morning. All right. Repeat after me. Positive affirmations. Today is a beautiful day. Today is a beautiful day. I will work hard. I will work hard. I am important. I am important. Repeat. I will succeed. I will succeed.
What percentage of your student body English is not their first language?
I would say about 80% of them.
Again, it was an episode where like the South felt special. I consider Houston the South. I think that people don't really appreciate the South for like what we're actually capable of down here.
What do you think? This is a loaded question that I probably know some of the answer to. What do you think? Why does the South get a bad rap, and what is that rap?
I mean, everyone thinks we're like a bunch of backwards hicks, but like to me, what's that? There's this like saying that we're like a bunch of progressive cities held hostage by a bunch of fascists via gerrymandering.
No.
Like that's my experience as a Southerner. But I think like when I meet people who like complain about the South or like look down their nose at the South, I'm like, hey, like, you know, most of America's liberation struggles have come from the South. Like, they're like, oh, like it's like this religious place full of holy rollers. I'm like, yeah, and it's a place where like black and brown people organized in church basements and like did the whole civil rights movement. And that's not even like, you know, let's not even talk about Reconstruction and like the magic that happened during that period, particularly in North Carolina. You know, you had radical Republicans and newly freed black people who were formerly enslaved, like working together, like to consolidate political power and to actually make change. And you could also argue that most of American culture comes through the South in some ways. Yeah. Like our food, it's all like Afro influenced.
Definitely. Yeah, the food for sure.
Yeah, the music.
Yes.
Have you ever watched that documentary, Harlan County, USA?
Oh, I've seen a little bit of it. I haven't seen the whole thing.
That movie will make you be proud to be a Southerner. Yeah, it's the 1970s like United Mine Workers strike, and it's Duke Power that they're striking against.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm assuming is the same Duke Power.
It's gotta be
Duke
right?
Energy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like a bunch of Appalachians like in Harlan County, Kentucky, led by a bunch of chain-smoking women, like basically sticking it to a coal company for 13 months and then getting a better contract. Yeah. And I'm like, man, that's like inspiring. Like you saw that type of behavior like spread, you know, to, you got to think about like, you know, I worked in Flint, Michigan for a summer and like that was like ground zero for the same type of activism.
Yeah.
But that's like, you know, that's stuff that we do in the South.
Yeah.
So anyways, you're welcome, Yankees.
From a journalistic standpoint, how has Anthony Bourdain like inspired your work?
I think the way he shaped my work the most is by complicating simplistic narratives. I think that's the biggest thing. Like I think with climate, like I feel like a lot of like legacy media coverage of climate feels like fatalistic and like hopeless. Yeah. But like when you drill down at the community level, like with real people and real places, like you find people who are thinking about climate and taking climate action, sometimes whether they realize it or not, in the most interesting places. And I think that like that complexity and like the nuance and like discovering those stories by like really being in people's personal space and in their personal lives. And yeah, I think that's really how he's affected my work. You know, I think about like I covered Helene in 2024, and the story that I wrote was about and photographed was about Appalachia as a whole, and sort of like how, you know, from an organizing perspective, that part of the country, Appalachia is interesting because it's like some of it's in the South, some of it's in, you could argue, the Midwest. It's going up like the sort of Atlantic coastal
Pennsylvania,
plain.
yeah, and all that.
Yeah, but it has its own identity and sub-identities. But like, it's been a place where people have always had to rely on their neighbors and community to survive because of like geographic isolation, neglect from the government, but also like terrible extraction from the coal industry and other fossil fuel industries, stuff like that. So when I was having lived in Appalachia, when I worked at the Roanoke Times in Southwest Virginia, I kind of understood the culture and like how people related. And I remember the story I wanted to tell was like how people were using community as a climate solution up there. And I pitched the story to a couple of places, and they just didn't buy it. And then an editor from Progressive Magazine reached out to me on Instagram because I'd met her at a party in LA, and she had been following some of the photos I posted and wanted to know if I wanted to write and photograph a story. And I was like, sure, here's my idea. And she was like, go. There were very different politics in Appalachia, like Asheville. Some of these, Black Mountain, they're more progressive, more traditionally liberal, and there's areas outside of there that are like, it's red, it's Trump country. But it was fascinating because wherever you were politically, people were kind of doing the same thing. They were relying on their neighbors to survive. They weren't waiting on FEMA. There is a woman I met in Swannanoa in particular who was at a small Baptist church up there. And I remember I met her and some of her family. They were reuniting for the first time in a trailer park that had been completely obliterated. Oh. And they invited me to their church, and they had turned their entire sanctuary into like a mutual aid station, full of donations, stuff like that. And Sherry was in charge of the van ministry at that church. She would like drive around this church van and like kids who had like broken homes and stuff like that, like take them to activities and minister to them. And she and her aunt tore the seats out of the church van and used it to distribute mutual aid. When I went up there, Sherry was like, "Hey, the church elders, aka a bunch of men, told me that I couldn't feed Hispanic people and Mexican people in the trailer parks. So I got an interpreter. We're gonna do it anyways." She was like, "That's bullshit." And
that is bullshit.
So I like rode around with her, like to these trailer parks, and while they were delivering food. And the thing about Sherry that was really striking is like she didn't believe in climate change, and she was like, "I don't believe in climate change, but I respect your point of view." And but then she proceeded to spend hours asking me about climate change and asking me about my job.
At least she wanted to, she was curious.
But that's the thing; she was incredibly curious, and she was smart. That part of the country can be written off.
Yeah.
Is backwards or voting against their own interests or whatever. When all the bullshit is stripped away, everyone has like the same needs, the same fears. They want like shelter, love, warmth, companionship, food, water. And I remember that covering Helene like totally radicalized me. And seeing what was capable when the entire system fails. In some ways, it was almost like a utopia. And I think about it all the time, like especially in the moment we're in now, that's like so chaotic. Yeah. And so like, how do we use our journalism to instead focus on what's possible and what's being done, as opposed to like just being like, there's a problem. So you're going from like watchdog to like guide dog, or
I like that metaphor.
Yeah. Or just showing people like, hey, like it's actually like not hopeless. Like there's people, like you can do something. You show up with the skills that you have.
From certain vantage points and within certain groups, like journalism is seen as, or journalists are seen as the enemy, for lack of a better term. Like what is something that those individuals either aren't understanding or something that something incorrect that they've been taught?
I think amongst a specific generation and maybe a particular political ideology, they're confused about what journalism is for and what journalists actually do.
Yeah.
There's this sort of idea that journalists are supposed to just like report the facts and let people decide, but that's not true. That's never been, to me, the legacy of real journalism. Yeah, you do report the facts and people can decide, but like we also have to explain things and put things in the context and to, whether it's like history or telling people like, well, what does this mean for you? But also like journalism has always had I feel like good, effective journalism, there is this idea that like you should comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable.
Oh,
that's like
that.
Sort of like a bedrock idea in journalism.
Yeah.
And we see that all through the history of even the journalism in the United States, like Watergate.
Yeah.
You rewind. The example I give to people that, journalism, there's never really been this, objectivity is not like a goal, I feel like. And I feel like people confuse that. They say like, everything has to be objective. I'm like, well, objectivity is a tool. To me, the goal is like accuracy and fairness and like building trust. The example I give people is Ida B. Wells, Black journalist, a woman who was work doing Jim Crow. She wrote that book. It was a compilation of a bunch of her work called Southern Horrors, and it's about lynching in the South. And her argument, which seems pretty basic, is that it's bad to lynch people. And I remember one time I was at the Washington Press Club for this like Pulitzer Center conference, and a young student asked me. She was like, "Oh, your work seems it seems to advocate for, taking on the climate crisis and stuff like that. Like, how do you draw that balance?" I'm like, I don't. I believe that it's the greatest threat to everything on the planet right now. Like, I have this saying that everything is climate. You can connect any issue to climate change. But I offer the example. I was like, who in the audience thinks it's okay to lynch Black people? And like, no one raised their hand.
Oh, not.
Well, that's because Ida B. Wells told us that was a bad idea, and no one listened to her. She was, the white press ignored her. But now we just, take that as like, we know that's like inherently true.
Right.
You don't kill people, you don't lynch people.
Right.
But yeah, she was looked at as an outsider, and now there's like a bust of her at some of the major journalism schools in the country, and she had a point of view. She wasn't being objective, and some people were like, "Oh, that's documentary." I'm like, "Well, it's all the same."
Well, yeah,
to me.
a documentary has an angle. Like, it has a point of view. Like, it's not just here's raw footage,
right?
that plays for 2 hours of something, and then you decide what it is. No, it's
right. And I just think that like that there's just the fundamental misunderstanding of like what we're here for. Like, our job is to challenge power. Like, that's always been our job. Like, some of the first instances of instances of journalism in this country, like during the Revolutionary War, were reporting about like the things that the British did that like they were killing people and making us unhappy. Yeah. And yeah, it had a point of view. You know what I mean? Like, there's all throughout history, there's examples of that. This idea that like journalists have to be like totally neutral is just, it doesn't make any sense. I can understand why people believe it, but I just don't think it's accurate.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think it's really hard for a lot of people to grasp onto that too, because I'm guilty of like, oh, if I read something that's true and I don't like it, I'll be like, no, that's like, I'll have a gut reaction to something like that.
Right.
And so like, I can understand this, but yeah, like there's got to be something that the connection's got to happen somewhere. So do you have a favorite moment, favorite episode, favorite scene from Parts Unknown?
There's one episode that's really special to me. It's when he goes to Minas Gerais, Brazil. Okay. I love that episode. So my girlfriend is a climate journalist, and she lives in Brazil. She's Brazilian, and she lives in Belo Horizonte, which is like the capital of like Minas Gerais. It's like this it's like this state kind of in the mountains in Brazil, and I love that episode because he goes to the Central Mercado, like the big central market in Belo Horizonte, and it has this like liver dish at this like one specific restaurant. And the first time I went to Brazil to visit my girlfriend, she took me there, and I had that exact dish at the exact same restaurant.
Oh, wow.
Bar Del Laura is named after its owner, also known as the Blonde, who was the first woman to run a bar in the Mercado Central. It's a place to order a cold beer, wedge yourself shoulder to shoulder into a small table, and order this. You want this, by the way.
This place is famous for
liver with jiló. Jiló is something very important for us. It's like an eggplant, but it's green, and you need to eat it while it's still green, because if it ripens, it gets so bitter you can't eat it.
And it was so fucking good.
Oh, yeah?
So good. And that is like the most overstimulating place I've ever been in my entire life. It's like Brazilian. There's fresh fruit everywhere.
Nice.
There's like chickens and dogs. Like
Just roaming around.
No. Like you can buy chickens there.
Okay.
Yeah. There's all sorts of stuff. You can buy like little like art knickknacks, stuff like that.
Cool.
There's always some soccer hooligans there screaming and drinking beer and watching television. It's great. It's a whole vibe.
That's great.
But I usually last about maybe 45 minutes in there before I'm just like, okay, I need to go home and stare at the wall. It's really
Overstimulation, yeah, at that point.
Yeah, but it's but that episode is great. I think that was it just felt really special. Because I think the whole reason I met Amanda, my girlfriend, was because of my journalism and because I had like curiosity. And the next thing I'm like in Brazil, this place that Anthony Bourdain was at, having the same meal.
That's a cool moment to have.
Yeah, it was cool. But the other thing about the episode was just cool was that it centers around how Brazilians have been taught for a long time that their ingredients aren't good enough. And that to be a chef in Brazil, you have to go study French and Italian cuisine and do that. And
is that a colonization byproduct there?
Sounds like it. It sounds just like it. But the episode, he works with these. He interviews and highlights these chefs that are doing the opposite, and they're using like local Brazilian ingredients, and like some of these ingredients they don't ship well, so it's hard to get them to France or to Italy or whatever. Holy shit, they're good.
I've got some Anthony Bourdain quotes, and I'd like you to. Sometimes he's talking about a place, sometimes he's talking about a person. Something there's like a fill in the blank. I want to try and gauge what you might think he's talking about in some of these quotes. What is he describing in this?
Okay.
Do you smell that? Motorbike exhaust, fish sauce, incense. The faraway smell of something. Is that pork grilling over charcoal?
Is he in Vietnam?
That is Vietnam.
Yes!
That is Vietnam. That's great. What episode is this from? Easily the most contentious piece of real estate in the world.
Oh, I know this one. I'm totally spacing. Wait, what is it?
It's from the Jerusalem episode.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say that or the White House.
Okay, fill in the blank here. You have to be a romantic to invest yourself, your money, and your time in
dating a goth girl.
Oh, but I like that alternative. The answer is cheese.
Oh.
The answer is cheese.
That does make sense, though.
Who is he talking about? I just find him personally objectionable.
Oh, Donald Trump.
Who is he talking about here? He's like Donald Trump, but shorter.
Is he talking about Putin?
Yes, he's talking about Vladimir Putin.
Wow, I'm doing okay.
And my last one for you, I have a good feeling you'll get this one. It is indeed marvelous, an irony-free zone
Waffle
where
House.
everything is beautiful and nothing hurts.
I'm literally wearing the shirt right now.
When I saw you wear that, I was like, well, he's gonna get one. He's gonna get one of these at least. Justin, thanks so much, man. This was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you coming in and talking about everything Anthony Bourdain and also the work that you're working on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was really fun. I love what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I feel one of the best capabilities that television has, or any medium for that matter, is to inspire us. What we watch can inspire us to think differently, learn empathy, and travel freely. Anthony Bourdain's legacy is rooted in those ideas. Honest journalism is rooted in those ideas. And our lives can also be rooted in those ideas. I think Bourdain said it best. Open your mind, get up off the couch, and move. So if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go? Let me know down in the comments, and please check out Justin's work in the episode description. I promise it's really impactful stuff worth reading. A huge thanks to Justin for chatting with me today, and a massive plate of thank you hash browns to you for hanging with us. I hope you'll stick around to see the rest. Take care.
What's her name? Claire.
Oh, you hold on to that cough.
All right, everybody, release your bodily.